The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome back to the 15-Point Plan podcast. My name is Ryan Greigg, and as always, I'm here with the most incredible co-host ever, Jacqueline Smith. Jacqueline, I really do love these 15-Point Plan podcasts, and I hope our listeners out there do as well. I ran into one of our listeners a couple weeks back, and it's just cool to see people come up and we start chatting. They're like, hey, I listened to your podcast. And I'm like, sweet. It just means so much when somebody tells us that or messages us that. It means that what we're doing, it's got value. But not only does it have value to our listeners, it has value to me, because I feel like sometimes I get these just like personal coaching calls with an amazing person like you. And so I love this podcast. And again, I hope our listeners do as well, where we give you these bite-sized things you can do in maybe 15 or 20 minutes with a podcast, reflected around what we call the 15-Point Plan, which is just our system. It's a way to make the ordinary extraordinary. It's a way to turn us average humans into superhumans. Things like drinking water, writing in your journal, taking some time to yourself in a meditation. And one thing we're talking about today, Jacqueline, is just this idea of taking those small things and moving up to the bigger things in life and actually just kind of putting them on your calendar so you don't forget when important things come up, like I have done a couple times recently, haven't I?
Yep, witnessed it, but you know what? We're all human. And that's kind of a good reminder, right? Like the 15-Point Plan, it's not about perfection. It's about making sure that we're taking care of ourselves so that we can be our best for the people that need us and for our dreams and our goals. And that we can go after those without like collapsing, right?
Yeah, that's right. And a couple episodes ago, we talked about that annual calendar, the annual wall calendar. And I really have enjoyed that, because it's taking the most important things in your life and putting them and kind of protecting them and putting those onto an annual calendar and giving you some motivation to work. Because I know that if I have a trip on my calendar that's 6 months out, while that's blocked out, it's with the important people in my life, like you mentioned. And I'm going to work harder to make sure that I get that time. And looking at that annual calendar is exciting, but sometimes just looking at the micro calendar, looking at the daily calendar. And I was reminded when I've missed two calendar events lately. One was actually on my calendar, and it happened to be recording this podcast. Uh, and the other was a commitment that I made to somebody that was not on my calendar. And I just, I missed it because it wasn't on my calendar. So I'm like 50% guilty there. And what it reminded me to do was the fact that our day really doesn't start that morning, right? Like our day has to start the night before. And if our day starts the night before, that means reviewing our calendar. And if I would have reviewed my calendar the night before, I would have realized I had a podcast to record, which is ultra important to me, but I also had an appointment with some clients. And had I looked at the calendar simply for 10 seconds the night before, I wouldn't have made that error. And so it was a good reminder to me, Jacqueline, of our day doesn't start the morning we wake up, it starts the night before, right?
Absolutely. And I wanted to just say too, like with these podcasts, like you were saying, you get an extra like coaching session. It also is a way for me that I hold myself accountable to living the 15-Point Plan and the things that we talk about, And so if you ever feel like, you need accountability around something, or you're kind of like slipping downhill on something, like I really recommend thinking about like, I'm going to teach a class on this, because there's nothing that causes us to level up more if integrity is important to you, which I think for most of us it is, right? To teach a class on it. So like for you, Ryan, like I would think, oh, maybe I should teach a class on Ben's daily plan or on how to, use a calendar, because that helps us like walk it out. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, right? And so we're going to turn this into a class. Ryan's going to teach it. No, I'm just kidding. We'll both teach it. We'll both talk about it. But it's so cool when I see even agents on our team. So like Ryan and I are both in real estate. We both run real estate teams. And once they start teaching something, the level of execution just like goes way up. I know we've had different guests on in the past, like Maisie on our team, and different people that have used the 15-point plan. And it's interesting, even watching them talk about it, then they follow it more.
Yeah.
And so that's just a little hack that I think is underutilized a lot, is when you teach something or help someone with something, how it just automatically tends to cause us to level up. And I think with the 15-point plan and making sure that you're putting things that matter on the calendar first, like with your big wall calendar, you're putting your family time, your vacations on there, your wellness, things like that. It's a posture, I think, that informs everything else going forward.
Yeah.
And how most people use their calendar is they let the world fill it and then they react to it. And how we want to start thinking of our time is, I'm going to be proactive and decisive with where my time is going, just like we do with our money, I hope, right? Like
Right.
we put thought into where we want to invest, where we want to spend, and make intentional decisions on how we use our money. We want to do that with our time, and most people don't operate that way. Um, and they certainly don't operate that way with their energy.
And what I think about when I hear that is it's the difference of being proactive versus reactive. And if we are proactive with our energy, we just have a lot more of it.
Yeah.
And if we're reactive, that means we're kind of always just playing this game of catch up, right? Like we're just like trying to just stay afloat. And that's
Mhm.
where that's where I start to feel really drained. Do you feel the same way? It's like I just can't catch up because I'm reacting to everything. I'm not doing the things that I need to do to keep me in my high performance state. I'm just trying to like get by and catch up. And unfortunately, I think it's kind of easy to fall into that trap, it seems like.
Yeah, and I think that it's kind of like, I don't know why money is an easier analogy for us to look at than I think like time and energy, because time and energy, like there's like no account statement that like
Huh.
tells you like where your time went, where your energy went. But for our money, there is, right? And so when you're looking at your time and your energy, like mostly you're just blowing it. Like, and same thing, if you're someone that hasn't gotten control of your finances, you probably have no idea where you're spending your money either. Like those new, well, they're new to me, Rocket, there's like an app like Rocket Money, I think it is.
Right.
And have you seen those commercials where they're like, oh, you think you're spending, $180 a month on Uber Eats, but you actually spent 360, or you think you spent $180 on clothes, but you spent 550. I think that's how most of us are with our time, with our energy, and even with our food. Like there's studies that show that we underreport by, I think it's like 40% what we eat. And I think the same, it's like 40% we underreport what we spend.
Yeah.
And so imagine how that impacts like your time and your energy that you don't have any record of unless you're keeping record of it, which very, very few people are. Even at the, you know, highest level in real estate, I know people that are just like operating in managed chaos. And so that's kind of like where I've been kind of thinking about that a lot, about my time and my energy. And if I'm like, I'm not looking at the 15-point plan as like a wellness thing. It's like an operational system for me to make sure I have the energy to do the things that I want to do and lead well. Because when you don't have energy, I think that's when those calendar things, the mishaps, like that's when that happens, because you're not slowing life down enough to be purposeful. And then things spiral out of control, and like life never slows down. You slow it down, like you decide the pace at which it's going by, right? Like you decide whether you're paying attention to it or not. I guess we don't decide the pace, but you decide if you're like aware of it or not.
Yeah, it's super true. And it's interesting because when you say, like, well, obviously we all know about our account statement with our finances and with your bank account. And maybe like with your credit card or what you owe. And that is something that you can easily look at. The other day, I was on a call and somebody asked a question, I bet you don't remember where you were this day last year. I bet you don't remember where you were this day a couple years ago. And I thought to myself, actually, I can go to my bookshelf and I can pull a journal and I can tell you exactly where I was this
Wow.
time, this year, or this time 3 years ago. And so, side note,
Mhm.
journaling is actually a fantastic way to keep an account statement of your life. And
Mhm.
you can see, like, I can see by what I wrote in my journal for that day. Was I in a good mood? Was I in a bad mood? Where was I? What did I do? So I never thought about it like that, but like a journal is kind of like a personal account statement of a way
Yeah.
that you can look back and you can see where you were, what your energy was like,
Mhm.
and am I making progress? Am I on a path that I want to be on? So I never really thought about that personal
Cool.
account statement in the form of a journal. And it's like we I the calendar is a reminder of the events that we need to do. So if we have a reminder of the events that we need to do business wise, why not use our calendar of the reminder of the events that we need to do to perform at the high level of business? Like I looked at my calendar this morning, and every single day it says and I noticed I haven't updated this recently because it says 5:45 to 7:45, wake up, journal, meditate, and exercise. So
Mhm.
like that little reminder goes off and I'm doing it already, but it's just like a cool reminder. But also, what if we put things like refill our water on the calendar? So that when you're sitting there in your office and you get into this flow state and you're working for a couple hours and you realize I haven't drank any water, it's just a nice little reminder. It's a
Mhm.
nice little reminder to do all these things that, oh, yeah, I should drink a glass of water, or in my case, a 3 gallon jug of water that I have sitting here that Jacqueline made fun of me for because I don't currently have water
Well,
on the floor that I'm working from. So I have to go 2 flights down of stairs to get water. So I just fill up this huge jug.
I logged on and there's Ryan, like, with this giant, like, bigger than his head, like, water jug, like, pouring it into his cup, and I was like, "Wow." Like, it looked like one of those ones that, in those water dispensers, and you can get those refilled, you know, bottles of
Yeah.
water that you plunk on top. It looked like that size, like you're just, like, one-handing,
Now, okay,
filling
but
up your water.
hear me out a little bit more on this because here's the thing too is we know that when we get into a flow state, that flow state is easily disrupted.
Mhm,
And when you work in an office place, if you have to go get water and it's simply across the office and you have to walk by 5 people to go get that water, what's
mhm.
the likelihood of none of those 5 people saying hello or how's it going? Or
0.
now, I love my people, right?
Yeah.
But if I have to go refill my water cup 4 times over 4 hours, and every time I did that, somebody just simply said hello. And again, I love them. I'm not saying don't say hello, but that conversation can be 3 to 5 minutes. In other
Mhm.
words, I could take 3 to 5 minutes 4 times. If I took 5 minutes, that's 20 minutes
Yeah.
of distraction and me getting off of my flow state just because I'm going to refill my water. So I think it's, this water jug does look ridiculous, but I keep it in my corner. I don't have to go refill it. And
Mhm.
I know I'm hitting my water goals by doing that. And I'm getting less distractions by not going to quote the literal water cooler and chit chatting with people.
Yeah. So when it comes to our time and our energy, I think like the biggest thing is um, when you're not leading people, and even as like a real estate agent, you're actually leading people because you're leading your clients. So most of us are leading someone, like whether it's our kid, ourselves, a volunteer group, whatever at your job. You have to be, like, regulated.
Yeah.
You have to be able to focus, like, that's what you're talking about. You don't even get into a flow state if you're not regulated and focused and decisive, and I think that taking control of the things that are in the 15-point plan, like, where we started out, was it kinda sets the tone for everything else. Like, if you cannot manage, like, drinking enough water, but yet you're managing someone's largest transaction.
Mm.
And, like, don't even get us started on, like, what happens cognitively when you're dehydrated, right? and you're just not functioning optimally at all. And you could cost people money. I mean, you could cost people their dream house. You could miss something important. I could snap at someone or handle something poorly that could cause a breakdown in a relationship that's important to me, And so I think as we grow, I think it's important for everyone, but certainly as your responsibilities in life grow, you have to grow your capacity. And so if you are having a hard time fitting these things in, these basic things like journaling, mindfulness, and hydration and movement, I mean, to me, that's like an SOS. Like, you've got to get that figured out, because what that tells me is you're probably mustering through with willpower and grit, and that collapses at some point.
A really good point. It absolutely does. It's kind of like motivation. Like, it's only going to last so long.
Yeah.
But if we can keep ourselves fueled and keep ourselves hydrated and keep ourselves at peace a little bit more when those tough situations come up, we can work through it. Especially as a leader, like you said, like, you don't have to be a quote team leader or a team owner to be a leader. We are leading our people in transactions. We are leading
Yeah.
our children, leading our kids. I'll leave you with a funny story, and then we'll wrap this one up. But when I was in college, I was doing an outdoor education, and I would work with kids. And at the same time, I was a DJ, so I was out way too late at
Oh
night,
gosh.
and I would come in and have 100 kids to go manage. And I remember one time in particular, like, I was incredibly tired and frankly probably hungover. And my teacher looked at me and said, "Ryan, I know you don't have the energy right now, but you need to put on the show." And that always really stuck with me. Like, us as leaders, whether it's with our kid or with our people or clients, like, you got to put on the show. You got to get through it. You got to get through it when things really matter. So get that water, get that food, take that quick second break, and do what you really are capable of doing. And I don't say put on the show like fake it, but I mean, get to work, do what you can do what you're capable of. That always really stuck with me.
Yeah, that's good. And so I just think to piggyback on that is like, I don't want to just have you can put on a show here and there when you got a bad night's sleep or whatever, but over time the show has to be real. Like, you have to have energy.
Yeah.
You have to bring that passion to what you're doing, or it won't work. And so I hope that I kind of feel like we nag our audience sometimes, like trying to prod them to get going on the 15-point plan, but it's because I see so many leaders and people operating deficiently, and like how it impacts their life and their happiness. And these things are so simple. They're so simple. Um, and they are life changing. And the simplest things are often the most powerful things. So I hope that if you've been off the plan, if you've been feeling um, your energy slip, or you've missed, calendar events and things like that, like, that's a sign to let's like recalibrate. And what a great way to recalibrate than to just do 30 days with the 15-point plan, or even 1 week. Like, just get back on track for a week, and you'll feel the difference in your mood and in your energy. And that alone solves so many other problems.
Yeah.
So we are thankful for all of you here, and please share this with someone if you know of someone that you've kind of seen they're lacking that vitality, that energy, that happiness. Share the podcast with them. Connect us. We'd love to be a resource for people and get them started on the 15-point plan, because it's changed both of our lives. It's the only reason we do this. We got nothing to sell. It's why we're here. And we hope that this was valuable. And Ryan, any final thoughts to close us out?
No, that's it, Jacqueline. That's why we're here, is because it holds us accountable as well. And it keeps us on track for really being the best that we can be also. So don't forget to listen to all past episodes at winmakegive.com. You can also check out all of our other podcast networks. And of course, you can find both Jacqueline and myself on social media. Jacqueline Ray Smith and Ryan Park Greigg. Until next time, everybody, we thank you for listening and have a great day.
Bye, everyone.